Welcome to the Why Music podcast, where we talk to independent artists about their journeys, the inspirations behind their music, and ultimately why they make music. This next artist is a Canadian born and raised indie pop creative, kicking off his journey as a drummer and taking so many other steps along the way. It's no question why his music combines many different genres. With so many releases out into the world and just as many waiting to be released, there's no stopping him on this journey. Welcome, Malcolm.
Hi, nice to be here.
I always like to start with where your music journey all started.
Yeah, so you mentioned I started with drums. I was started taking my first drum lessons when I was 5. Before that, I had all the music toys that I just couldn't stop playing with. So parents put me in there, and I actually would have taken guitar, but someone told my mom that you couldn't play guitar till you were 8 or something. So they put me in drums instead, and I'm glad that happened. But yeah,
Um,
no, so
oh, go ahead.
drums first. Guitar, I started taking lessons around age 8. A few years later, I picked up bass. I had choir when I was like prepubescent, but then when my voice changed, I stopped singing for a long time, and it wasn't until I was probably like 16-ish that I started singing again. And from there, I just kept making more, changing things up, and now I'm here.
At what point did you start writing music?
Um, Writing music pretty early, honestly. I was always way more interested in that aspect than the playing other people's songs type of thing. So I remember when I was little on the drums, I wasn't good at it, but I would just try to make up my songs. But when I started taking guitar lessons, my teacher Jamie Bell, he knew that I was interested in writing, so he showed me kind of how to do that. We worked on scales, chord progressions, that kind of stuff, just different ways to get me creative.
And at what point in writing your own stuff did you decide to start recording it, releasing it, doing the artist thing, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I like to use those like apps. I just get GarageBand on my iPod Touch, and then later I got the FL Studio Mobile that I used a lot of to make my stuff. But so I started by just making these really bad beats when I was probably 13-ish. And then around 15, I switched more to an EDM centric thing, still making it on my phone. But I noticed that instead of just making remixes or instrumentals, I wanted vocals, but talking to people and trying to get them to sing for me was way too much work. So I decided to just try to do it myself. And then as gear escalated and I got more comfortable with my vocals, just kind of got to where I am now.
So, in sort of starting to bring your music to life and all that goes into that whole process, what has kind of transpired that's turned into what you would consider like your sound now? Like how did that kind of develop as a whole?
Yeah, so I think it's a combination of just taste, skill, and habits. Like around the time I started recording my vocals and stuff, I started getting way more into more alternative and R&B type of things rather than just hip hop and EDM like when I was around like 13, 14. So that kind of influenced my style a lot. But I also knew that the sound that worked best for me had to do with more like natural instruments, drums, guitars, real bass, that kind of thing. And it just kind of kept shifting from there. Yeah, it's basically that. I have habits that I don't even think about and put them all together, and that's kind of the sound.
So there are things that you kind of see come to life, I guess, in your music that are kind of just completely unintentional and just sort of appear consistently and are just like these like themes that aren't even
Oh
like
yeah.
intentional?
Yep. Like sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Like I like to keep at least instrumentally similar to my songs, but I try to make it different every time. They usually start with something kind of unique or weird, and then it starts to sound more like my stuff as I start to fill it out with the other instruments.
That makes sense. Is there like what kind of elements do you see kind of show up in a lot of your stuff that feels very just naturally there?
A lot of my melodies are don't like to jump around a bunch. They just go up or down with like a few little things, but melodically it usually ends up being that type of thing. Um, Bass lines, I love doing my octave jumps. And then drums, I try to keep the most different as that's the only instrument I actually think I have a really good grip on. But even then, once you have the rest of it ready, there's only so many beats that you can do that work well.
That's very true. What do you find often inspires a lot of your writing?
I usually have two different camps that I write about. One self-deprecation, which is usually all my more fun ones. That's where you get like ADHD and milk. And on the other side, it's just relationships. I wish it was something cooler, but yeah, anytime you have like a relationship or whatever, that's great songwriting material.
That's a very popular response.
Oh yeah.
Why do you think that your more self-deprecating ones are the ones that turn out to be the fun ones? Is
I
that
think
intentional?
self-deprecation is fun. Yeah, it is. Like, I don't know, I always had the most fun with my friends when they could roast me growing up. I got really good at roasting myself. I feel weird trying to be braggadocious, but if I put that braggadocious tone on while saying things that are not good, I just like the effect of it.
The contrast between the two sides of it.
Yeah, there's something really fun about having negative lyrics but with a really fun feeling.
That I feel like that's become more and more of a thing because it's like you can package whatever the lyrics are in any way you so please. And so it's like, why not take something that's maybe like if you listen too closely, it's going to give you a completely different sort of framework. But it's like if you listen to it just how it is, it's like, oh, it's actually kind of fun. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. And you can never really tell how people are going to listen to. Like I remember when I put out ADHD, there was like at least two people telling me that they cried over it, and I was just like, that is crazy. I use that to tell people I'm dumb. Like, but people related, and it kind of made sense, and kind of made me see the song in a different light too.
yeah, it is interesting how when you package it, because like some people are very intentional about listening to the words, and that's like what they're gonna pull from it. Some people, it's like that could go right over their heads if it sounds like catchy or cool enough. And so it's
Yeah,
like you really like that's showing you who's kind of taking it in what ways, because it's like, oh, if you're listening to the lyrics, you're gonna take it a lot differently than if you are just listening to the song in its like straight up form.
yeah.
If you had to create a new genre around your style of music, what would it be called?
Hmm. Vibe Rock's the obvious pick since I have that old album called that, but I think groove-based indie is kind of just the thing that fits almost everything I do. But I think Vibe Rock would still catch on better.
Um, Interesting that you jumping back to a previous project in this sense, what makes you lean back towards that particular project in terms of defining yourself as a whole sound wise?
Well, it's kind of how the name of the album started. I was trying to figure out a good way to explain what my sound is. I said vibey rock years before I actually made that album, and it just in my head that was what the first album was going to be. And it just kind of it clicks. It's corny, but it kind of makes sense.
And then why, for like the alternative answer, why groove based indie?
So like most of my songs are written with the bass line first. And I'm very like rhythmically oriented. All of my stuff I try to make sure it has a good groove to it. But when it comes to guitars and vocals, I don't have a great R&B voice. So in that area I kind of lean more into the classic rock or indie area.
So it's kind of combining those two different styles.
Yeah.
Um, is there a song that you've written that you think best embodies who you are as an artist?
Probably I think I'm okay.
I think the world's ending. I don't know how to feel, reaction pending. The market's been crashing, but that ain't gonna change the way I've been spending. Cause I'm already broke. It could get worse, but who really knows? I'm just a starving musician trope. Probably won't get rich, but I'm holding on. My heart is broken again, but then again, what's new? My mind was playing pretend, but this time it's all true. This life's been giving me the elbow. I should be sad, but I think I'm okay. Outside is freezing in my bedroom too. My body's breaking and bending in ways that ain't cool. That being said, I don't feel too low. I should be sad, but I think I'm okay. If I say that I'm the shit, it's cause it's fun to lie. I blame the loneliness on being shy. The expectations on me ain't too high. It's probably cause they think I bring a stoner vibe. Well, I think that that's pretty nice. That type of thinking keeps the pressure light. I like a low bar just like my height. It looks like I'm soaring when I'm just alright. Oh, my heart is broken again, but then again, what's new? My mind was playing pretend, but this time it's all true. This life's been giving me the elbow. I should be sad, but I think I'm okay. Outside is freezing in my bedroom too. My body's breaking and bending in ways that ain't cool. That being said, I don't feel too low. I should be sad, but I think I'm okay. Money on my mind, but none in my pocket. I'm waking up way too tired, way too often. No, I just gotta keep rocking. No, I just gotta keep rocking. Fire in the sky, the ash got me coughing. If I was one to cry, you'd all see me sobbing. No, but I gotta keep rocking. No, I just gotta keep rocking. My heart is broken again, but then again, what's new? My mind was playing pretend, but this time it's all true. This life's been giving me the elbow. I should be sad, but I think I'm okay. Outside is freezing in my bedroom too. My body's breaking and bending in ways that ain't cool. That being said, I don't feel too low. I should be sad, but I think I'm okay.
Why?
When I made that one, it was on the self-deprecation side of things, but I also kind of wanted to just do something that really just feels like an introduction to myself. Like it's a groovy song, the instrumentation, although not very difficult, it's still unique, and it's just that's the one that feels the most like me out of all my songs.
If you had to pick two or three artists that you think your music is like a combination of, who would it be?
Okay, yeah. Anderson .Paak for sure. Harry Styles. The third one would be a tough one to kind of figure out because there's a lot that I would go with, but I'll say Childish Gambino mainly because he's just always been in my favorite top two my entire life.
What different elements of each of those three would you say you pull from the most or you find the most of in your music?
Yeah, so vocally and sonically, I think I pulled from Harry Styles quite a bit. It was listening to kind of when his first album came out, jamming to songs like Kiwi and Sign of the Times that I kind of realized, oh, hey, this kind of tone vocally works for me. I can do this, that kind of thing. Anderson .Paak obviously is the drummer, rapper, genre bender. So I pull the most from his stuff for sure because it's just that his stuff is just that great blend of funk, rock, and R&B. And Childish Gambino, I feel like, although it's definitely not as direct of an influence, Awaken My Love definitely has some obvious things, but he always did the songs where you could play five songs randomly and people listening wouldn't even realize it's the same person. And I just love how he can go make like a comedy one, make something that's going to break your heart, make something that's just a summer vibe, and they're all his.
Yeah, I think he's a great sort of representation of the you can do things in all of these different areas and they're all tied together because they're yours, but they're also like if you look at them individually, you wouldn't put them in the same like vicinity with one another because they
Yeah.
are so drastically different. Um cool. I've 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 never really had somebody put somebody's like people so different like Harry Styles and Childish Gambino in the same like answer to something.
Yeah.
So that's a change of pace for sure. If you're someone that is constantly looking for new music and trying to find artists before they blow up, then I'd like to introduce you to a project you're going to love. Indie for Your Inbox is an email newsletter that brings you a new song from an independent artist every single day. Uniting music lovers with the future face of the industry, we want to provide indie artists a new way to bring their music to their future fans. Click the link to subscribe now and find your future favorite artist. What is an outside passion of yours that you think impacts who you are as an artist?
I watch a lot of TV, like mostly sitcoms and stuff. But that's always had an impact on my just personality in general. I remember when I was a teenager and watched that '70s show, I started just like having a very obvious shift towards that kind of feeling. But your personality in real life is also what you put into your music. So that makes quite a big difference. And as a more physical thing, when I was a kid, I used to dance. So around like ages 8 to 18, I ended up being a competitive dancer. So that's when I really started to focus on just how just the song itself can like make people move, how you feel different pieces and all that kind of thing.
So do you think that that's part of why, the groove part comes in and where the groove based indie sort of culminates from?
Oh yeah. No, like hip hop was my main style, and I was always interested in the low end of the music, loved a good beat, loved a nice bass line, that kind of thing.
And then on the sitcom side of things, is there any like direct ways that you think that's influenced or impacted who you are as an artist or the kinds of music that you make?
I think because I make so much kind of self-deprecation based stuff and just I tend to go with a less serious approach for most of my music. That kind of just comes from watching a lot of sitcoms and stuff and not taking everything so seriously. I always like how sitcoms can take often a serious story and not like completely ruin it, but still turn a joke out of it.
Yeah, I mean it's there's a lot of s- there's definitely I'm trying to think of what the word is that I'm looking for, but there's a lot of similarity between like it's not necessarily direct self-deprecation with a lot of like the sitcom stuff in some ways, but there's
Yeah,
definitely that like same wavelength of things going on that it's like those two make sense together, but how, I don't know.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's just I don't know. I love the sitcom scenes that aren't like genuinely like everyone's losing their mind of how funny it is. Just those little things where a side character is just gonna say something and it has just random implications, and I just love that kind of feeling, and I try to put that in there. I'm not making music to have people try to just like laugh all the time, but if they get a little chuckle, that's perfect.
That's an interesting approach. You don't get that very often. It's not, I make music that makes people cry. I make music that makes people like want to have a good day. It's, the subtle little, have a chuckle in there if you so please.
Yeah.
Um there's I've been doing this thing where I take a question from last week's artist for this week's artist. And so last week's artist's question is, what is an idea for a song that you're currently sitting on or that you've yet to write?
I have had a song title in mind for years called Chicken and Rice, and I have never gone very far with any ideas with it, but I eat chicken and rice way too often. I think that would be a great option for a song. It has a good ring to it. It would be a good another kind of like self-deprecation song, but yeah, chicken and rice.
And how would you like what are you trying to convey with that like idea? Like where does it go from just the title?
So I don't know if you've ever listened to Asher Roth, but he was like one of my earliest influences that actually makes a impact of my sound. And he was always this kind of like semi-comedy rapper when he started, and he had an album called Retro Hash where he had a single called Dude, and it just I think that would be a fun area to kind of go. It's just this kind of it's really chill, feel good. It's not something I haven't done. Very self-deprecating lyrics. Just find a way to kind of relate it back to it.
What would your question be for the next artist?
Let's see. What's your favorite like instrumental part in any of your songs? Like could be bass line, guitar lick, vocal run, whatever it is.
Okay. What is it that you think sets you apart from other independent artists?
I think just the just kind of my upfront approach to everything. I don't do a lot of metaphors. I'm not trying to take myself super seriously. I like I feel like there's parts of my songs that are supposed to be heard, so that's right in your face. The stuff that's supposed to blend in, I kind of hide back a little bit. Vocally, there's not a lot of people that are going to make a song about The Office and have it be a real song. Like it's just that direction. There's other people that do it, but I don't know. Not a lot of people doing the same way I do.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've never heard somebody say like, "I hope you laugh" at some point in my songs, or there's certain things that are supposed to be funny in that way. So that's definitely a little bit different, and I think you're right. I don't know that I know of any other office-based songs that aren't like satirical or like meant to be like ironic or something. So you definitely have that as like that you can claim that territory. That's yours. That's
Yeah.
yours for the taking. Um, what impact do you want to have with your music, with your artistry?
I would it would be really awesome if I could see in the future people using me as an influence. I think because I look at so many different influences and get so excited about things, if I saw someone and not just like as a oh they like me so they want to be like me, but like they'll take direct like musical influences. They'll be like, "Ooh, I want a Malcolm type bass line." That kind of thing, that would be just super awesome.
If you had to, not necessarily guess, but if you had to think about that further, what elements of your music do you think that you could see people pulling from the most? Would it be the bass line? Would it be the self-deprecation? Would it be simple melody?
I think the bass line, honestly, bass line and kind of the self-deprecation where it doesn't get too jokey, but it's still a joke.
A little bit of humor just to add some flavor.
Yeah.
I think that brings us to the final question, which is ultimately why music?
Why music? That's the only thing that makes sense.
Do you care
I
to
feel like it's
elaborate
cool.
on that?
I thought it sounded cool if I left it just at that, but yeah, no, music was a choice for me like really early on. It's the thing that I've just always felt comfortable with. It's just always been well, I'm trying not to be corny, but I am. Yeah, it's just always been there. Drums. Once I realized there's a chance I can make a living off of it, that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be like I keep this question around because I like this question, but I get a lot of the same sorts of themes where it's like, what else would I be doing? Like, like as soon as you know that there's an opportunity to do the like thing that you're the most passionate about, say less. Like, do like I'm gonna
Yeah.
do that thing. But yeah, it's always like that's just like what else is there? Like there's no real way to answer it. It's like what else is there to do but do that thing that is like the thing.
Yeah. No, it's
So
like there's if I wasn't doing music, I'd probably still do something artistic, but I think music is the type of thing where you don't have to put others down to move up, which is kind of a big thing. They're the only like rich people. I'll count most type of artists, but most rich people have to like put people down to move up there. You see the artists, and yeah, there's definitely some bad ones, but for the most part, they just made something people liked, and that's all.
Yeah, I mean it's just this like creative outlet that then other people can consume and find just as much value in. And
Yeah,
you're right, it doesn't have to be this competitive, cutthroat, like I have like in order for me to go up, you have to go down kind of thing, which is
yeah,
nice because that's that's not the way to do it.
yeah, exactly.
Alrighty. Well, I think that brings us to the end of this episode of the Why Music podcast. You can check back again next week for another conversation with another independent artist. Thanks for listening.